Hey there, it's Marian. It says I am live, so I'm going to start chatting. I hope everyone's having a great day. A little casual today. I just dropped my son off. He is volunteering at a tennis camp. So we are casual this morning. And tennis would be a good reason to talk about wrist alignment, definitely. The other thing that makes it important to talk about wrist alignment, which is why we're here today, is the biomechanics in the office, your body alignment in the office. And when you think about body alignment, you're probably not thinking about your wrist. You're probably thinking about your spine. You're thinking about having your neck and having a good posture when you're sitting or when you're standing. But your wrist is vitally important if you are keying, if you are using a mouse, if you are writing or using any type of desktop application that may have a pen associated with it. Your wrist positioning is really important. That's where you will get those signs and symptoms associated with problems with your wrist. That could be puffiness in your hands. You could feel numbness, pins and needles. You may go to grab an object and you just feel like you don't have the strength in there anymore. Your forearm, lots of pain through the forearm. You may feel that, if you went for therapy, for massage, to see a therapist, that when they're working on that forearm, or if you're working on it on your own, you can feel the tightness in there and that burning that happens. So we definitely want to talk about the wrist. We definitely want to go through and actually talking about, as I said, body alignment for the wrist. And one of the things that makes the wrist, first of all, really incredible is how well it moves. And it's because there's lots of little mini joints in the wrist. There are lots of bones in there, the carpal bones, and attached to the hand. So we've got finger movement, we've got the hand, we've got the wrist. So there's a lot of mobility through there that we want to make sure we keep in a position that is safe for our body, not causing those symptoms, and gives us the best productivity that we can have during the day or during any activities where we've got that wrist as part of the function of what we're doing. The wrist has 4 movements. So we've got flexion and we've got extension. Now, those are the 2 you're probably familiar with, but we can also move from side to side, and that's deviation in the wrist. So there's 4 movements in there. And as I said, lots of bones, lots of joints, and it's so mobile. There's so much you can do, but that also puts the wrist at risk. Yes, wrist at risk for being injured because it's smaller, because the muscles that are moving in there are small, and because there's lots of movement, the stability isn't quite there. So we have to make sure to keep it in those postures that are going to keep it as safe as we can. And that is neutral posture. When we're working, we want to put the least amount of strain on our wrist joint because we want to have the muscles and the mobility in those joints when we need them. So if we don't keep that wrist in neutral, and as you see here, the picture is showing you the forearm and the hand are in line. That's what I'm talking about with neutral. It's not into extension. It's not into flexion. Because if I keep it in this position, I'm overstretching these muscles and I'm constantly using the muscles that are keeping the joint in that position. They're going to wear out. They're going to get tired, and then they're going to fight back. And that's where you get the numbness and the tingling. That's where you get the tightness on either the underside or the top of your forearm. It's because those muscles aren't happy anymore. When they're in neutral, they're happy because they're relaxed. That's with any part of the body. Body alignment, we keep it neutral, then we use the muscles we need, we bring it back to neutral. If you are constantly keeping that wrist in a position where it's not neutral, it will give out, you will have symptoms, and you won't have the mobility or the strength that you need when you have to use it. That's why during the day, it may be harder for you to move the mouse because you're not in that position. So we want to look at, as we said, some of the things that can assist you with those neutral positions is the posture of your wrist that we just talked about, and then the position of your shoulder. Oftentimes the joints away from what we're talking about, in this case, the wrist, can affect how you're moving. So if you're sitting at the desk, so if I'm at the desk and I have my shoulder forward, that may affect how my wrist is going to be positioned. Because I've taken my shoulder out of alignment, then my wrist may need to be out of alignment to reach for that mouse. So we want to look where that shoulder placement is as well when we're reaching for the mouse. So I want you to look at those things and say, hey, where's my shoulder, where's my wrist, and where are my fingers? And that has to do with the shape and the size of your mouse. If the mouse is, let's say, too big, you may really widen your hand to try and grasp around that mouse. And in doing so, it's a lot of strain on your hand. You may accommodate by how you're moving your wrist to either get around the mouse, or if the shape of the mouse is, let's say, a teardrop mouse and it may be too small, you may be dropping your wrist in order to get your fingers on that mouse so you can manipulate it. So these 4 things come into play when you're determining whether or not you're in that position that's great body alignment. Of course, if you've got any questions, if there's anything that you need to know about, whether it's the wrist or other work well in the office and move well body alignment strategies, then send me an email. You can check the website. We've got a lot of free things for you in there, whether it be stretches, cheat sheets, things to help you set up your office. I do want you to feel awesome. It's so much more productive. In the end of the day, you want some energy left for the things you want to do. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.